Story. Once upon a time. So there was this lady on TikTok that cried out saying her parents were devoted Christians, like members of a popular church. That and her parents were devout tithe payers. That they every month that they ensure that they paid their tithe. And then when her parents started having issues, and maybe to the point of death, until they died, that no church member came to ever visit them or maybe console them or maybe give them money or something or help. Then I commented and said that the church is not an investment plan, right? That or the church is not a place where you go and save money and expect a return on your investment. That if you wanted a return or an investment, a return of an investment or maybe an interest or maybe a refund, you shouldn't put your money in the church, right? You should keep your money in the bank so that you can be rewarded, because God doesn't reward you for, I'm not saying God doesn't reward you for giving, but your giving to God shouldn't be because you are expecting a refund. Which brings me to the topic of tithing. Let's talk about what the Bible really says about tithing, not church traditions. So the truths and nothing but the truth. So if you read through Genesis, I think it's Genesis 14, but let me confirm. Right from verse 18 to 20. That was the first time the Bible ever mentioned tithing. Was when Abraham's cousin Lot was captured. Abraham headed to go and rescue his cousin, but while on his way there, he met another king, the king called Melchizedek. Melchizedek was also a king and a priest of God. So Melchizedek blessed him, and then when Abraham was returning from the war, he brought back a lot of things from the war, that including his cousins and everybody that he had set free. So when he got to, first of all, he decided to stop at where Melchizedek was, and then he decided to give Melchizedek a 10% of everything he had acquired from the war. The second time that tithing popped up again was during the time of Jacob. When Jacob was still in Genesis. I think that was Genesis 28. When Jacob was returning after deceiving his brother Esau and his father, so he had to run away to a strange land. Then when he was coming back, after he heard that his brother has forgiven him and his mother sent for him, so while he was returning, because he was tensed, he didn't know what to do, so he started praying and wrestling with God and said, God, if you would bless me and fulfill the promises that you have made concerning my life. He made a vow to God that I will give you the 10% of everything I have. Do you understand? So it's not like somebody forcing. I feel like tithing is supposed to be something that you do voluntarily. And okay, fast forward to the law of Moses, right? Law of Moses. Let's look at the law of Moses. That was in Leviticus. So under the law of Moses, right? So Moses was the one that actually, it wasn't even Moses that did it. It was the children of Israel, because the children of Israel, Moses did not get to the promised land. So after the children of Israelites had, had left Egypt, and they were now heading to the land of Canaan where God had promised them. And so after they had fought those wars, captured everything, and then taken over, their possession, the lands that God promised them. Remember, Jacob had 12 sons. So those 12 sons became the tribes of Israel, right? And then there was one particular tribe that did not work. They were not assigned any. They were not given any possession of the lands that they captured. So they were not, this particular tribe, they were the Levites. They were not expected to work or do anything, but just their work. Their main purpose was, to do the work of God, to be in the temple, and then to attend to crises relating to God and other things that they can resolve amongst themselves. So they were like the judges and they were like the priests in Israel at that time. So because they were not working, other tribes were now commanded, to give them a 10% of whatever they were earning, so that they could survive in the house of God, which is why that Malachi 3, I think, Malachi what? There's a verse, Malachi 3, yes, which is why Malachi 3 came up. Malachi was the last prophet of God. That Malachi 3 is the verse that most Nigerian pastors will use and try to manipulate their congregation into giving by force. I'll come back. The tribe of Israel, they established 3 types of tithes. One for the Levites, who were the priests who were the priests at that time. So the tribe of Levites were the priests. 2, the tithe of festival. So this the tithe. Look at the first tithe. The tithe of the Levites was for the upkeep of the temple, to take care of the priests, their kids, and every other things they needed to sort out. The second tithe was the tithe of festival. So this tithe, according to this tithe, because that time, as at that time, the temple was very far from where a lot of the other tribes were. So they were not instructed that instead of coming, if you know you cannot come to the temple and give your offering or your tithes, you should exchange it, use it to buy something that you really like, and then eat it with your family and have a celebration to God, acknowledging God. Because there was no money, there were no money, yes. So the only means they had to sell their goods was like exchange their goods. For example, if I have wheat and another person has goats, I have to give the other person an equivalent of his goats that he's going to give me, and buy. That's how you expect to trade your tithe and buy something that you really need, and then celebrate it, eat and celebrate with your families, right? So the third tithe was supposed to be the tithe of the poor, right? With this tithe is paid after 3 years. So this tithe, it's not given directly to the Levites. It is stored in a particular town, so that people can go there, people who cannot, the homeless, the fatherless, the motherless, the orphans, people who did not have anything to eat could just go there and so that they can get something to eat. So these are the 3 tithes that were established during the time of Moses. My analysis, Nigerian pastors will tell you we no longer operate in the Old Testament. We operate in the New Testament. So in the Old Testament now have passed away, right? And we are now in the time of grace, where Jesus came and redeemed us of our sins, right? So when Jesus died on the cross, he paid all our debts. He paid for our sins. So all the debt that we owed, all those sacrifices, that because of Jesus, we now have like a direct contact to God. So what I want you to know is that you don't have to go through a prophet, or you don't have to go through your pastor to know God, because Jesus has already paid that price for you. But there's this particular verse, Malachi 3, verse 8 to 10, which says, "Will a man rob God? Yet you rob me. But you ask, how are we robbing you? In tithe and in offering. Bring ye the whole tithe into the storehouse, and see if I will not open the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing, that there will not be a room to contain it." So let's elaborate on this verse, because when Nigerian pastors want to threaten you into paying tithe, or trip you into paying tithe, they'll quote this verse. But what I've come to realize is that this verse was not referring to the congregation or the people who attended the temple at that time who were paying tithe. And it was not referring, but to me and you, because we're not there, we're not the Levites, and we're not even the people going to the temples at that time to worship. Malachi was the last prophet of God, right, in the Old Testament. And when he was talking about this particular topic, he was referring to the priests in Israel, because they were corrupt. He was not even referring to the church members. He was referring to the priests themselves, because the priests, they were corrupt. They were misusing or mismanaging the funds that people were bringing into the temple. So let me explain what Christianity means. Christianity or Christian means followers of Christ, right? So here are some reasons why Nigerian churches or Nigerian pastors emphasize so much on tithing? Number one, Nigerian pastors, most of them don't have work. Most of them are relying solely on what their church members bring to them. Unlike the Western pastors that are doing so many things, some of them have businesses, some of them are working, and also they have like endorsement and grants that come to them. So, but Nigerian pastors, because they rely solely on that tithe, they will do anything to threaten you or making you feel like if you do not pay your tithe, God is punishing you, or if you do not pay your tithe, you are not going to be prosperous, or if you do not pay your tithe, you are not even going to have food in your house, right? Or you will starve to death. They rely on this tithing so much because they need the tithing to pay for, their lifestyle and the running of the church activities. Secondly, many Nigerian pastors, teach tithing as a law, saying if you do not pay your tithes, you are cursed and God will punish you. But this message, it was addressing the priest of Levites. Malachi was actually addressing this message to the priest of Levites, not ordinary Christians, not us who are under grace, whom Christ have redeemed. So let's run a quick overview of what Malachi said when he was talking about bringing ye all the tithe and offering into the storehouse of God. Number one, he was saying, so if you read through Malachi 1 verse 6 to 8, he says, "It is you, priests, who show contempt for my name. You place defiled food on my altar. When you bring blind animals to sacrifice, is that not wrong?" Look at chapter 1. If you read from verse chapter 1, right, you will see that Malachi was not actually referring to the people who attended the temple or gave to the temple. It was addressing the priest because they were mismanaging the donations that was given to them, right? And they were not even doing what God asked them to do. So instead of using the best animals to make the sacrifice, they will use the dead ones, or maybe the ones that were handicapped. Then it continued to say in chapter 3, he went on to say, "Will a man rob God? Yet you rob me." But you ask, how are we robbing you? In tithe and in offering. Now you notice the pattern. The tithe and offering that the Levites were collecting were supposed to be used. One part of the tithe was for their own upkeep. Another part of the tithe was for the maintenance of the temple and doing other things, right? But at the time they started keeping everything to themselves, mismanaging mismanaging the resources and neglecting their duties, which is what is still happening in most churches today, right? If you would agree with me. Let's continue. Bring ye all the tithe into the storehouse, so that there may be food in my house. He wasn't saying bring in money to the church or I will curse you. He was saying stop stealing from me. Stop stealing from what belongs to my house and return whatever you have stolen from the storehouse, so that there will be food for everyone who work, the Levites, the poor, and the temple work. In verse 9, it goes on to say, "You are under a curse, your whole nation, because you are robbing me." So this curse wasn't a punishment for all Israelites or Christians. It was a national consequences of corruption, of greed, and of neglect for the work of God. So in today's terms, I think this is what that verse would sound like. You Nigerian pastors and leaders, stop misusing church money. Bring the resources back to where they belong, to take care of God's people and do his work. So that is what Malachi 3 would sound like today. Which is why I left that comment on that girl's page saying the church is not a place where you go and invest your money and expect a return. This thing did not start today. So it started from the Bible. And in the New Testament, you are not even obligated to pay tithe. You are not even required to pay tithe. But this is what the churches will not tell you. Because if Christ has died for you, if Christ has redeemed you from the past, from the law, because they'll tell you are under grace, why are you still operating in the law? the law of Moses, that they have said that Jesus, has paid the price for you. So why are you still, paying tithes? Giving, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying giving is wrong. Giving is actually a very good thing, because it's when you enable other people, when you help other people, I think the help comes back to you automatically. And when you help people, right, it pleases God. But don't be so gullible to think that when you help people, you are helping because you are expecting a return, or you are expecting something in return. When you help and don't expect is when God really actually blesses you. I'm not talking about tithe and offering alone. I'm talking about giving in general. When you give, it honors God. So your giving is supposed to, number one, honor God. Number two, support the work of God. Number three, help the poor and the needy. Number four, grow your faith. Giving is not supposed to be a transaction with God, because when you give, you are giving from a place of abundance, because you have so much and you want to share. So it is that kind of giving that God actually rewards. It is not the kind of giving that when you give out of guilt, or you give out of lack, or you give because somebody is pressurizing you to give. When you are giving with those kind of emotions, right? Because we are not giving willingly from your heart. You cannot. God does not. I don't think God will reward those kind of giving. If your pastor pressurizes you to give by force, you in your mind knowing fully well that you might not have that money to give, but you felt manipulated, and you are not even giving with a joyful heart, and you are still expecting a refund or a return for what you have given, God will not give you. But when you give with a full heart, right, a joyful spirit, and when you give from a place of abundance and not lack, that is the kind of giving that God rewards. Here's what you can start doing in order for you not to feel hurt, or have regret, or even have expectations. Here's what you can do when next you want to give. Don't feel pressured to give. Give faithfully. Give because you love God, not because you are forced to. 2, be wise when giving. If your church misuses funds, the church you attend misuses funds, and you can see it with your koro eye, you don't need anybody to tell you. If your church constantly manipulates, if you keep going to a church that constantly manipulates, whenever you go there, they will trip you into giving. In fact, see, let me tell you something. I've been to a church that, I have to stand up from my seat and give up to 5 times. And the thing is, if you don't get up from that seat, people will notice that you are not giving. So even when you don't have, you just have to stand up. Until I gave my last card and I did not have transport, that was the last time I went to that church. So when you are giving, be wise. Use your sense. Don't go and give everything you have, hoping that God will reward you. God will not reward you, because God will not reward you. You are only rewarding your pastor or the person you are giving to, and making them better than you. Thirdly, you don't have to give all your earnings to a church, or everything you have to a church, right? You can diversify your giving. Give to widows. Give to people who really need it. Give to a family member who really needs help. Give to a church that that would not misuse your money, or would not pocket the money. A church that truly have the interest of their church members in mind. Not a church that is focused on just getting and being, not a church that is so materialistic and just focused on exploiting you or extorting money from you. Fourth, you have to give from your heart, whether 5%, 2%, 10%, or 20%. Just give what you can afford. Give what from your heart you are willing, that your heart has told you, this is what this person needs, or this is what I feel like I should give because I have so much. So me, if I'm giving this, I will not even feel it. Or if I'm giving this to this person, I am happy. That is when you should give. So here is my advice to you, right? Don't let anyone manipulate you with any tithing message, because God is not going to punish you for not paying your tithes. God is not waiting for you to drop money for in any church or in any institution to bless or punish you. What God is looking after is your heart and the intentions that you have for giving. So even if you decide to still give or pay your tithe, give from a place of love and abundance, knowing that you love God, not from a place of obligation or punishment, of the law. So, and I also want you to remember that God does not owe you anything for giving. You give because He has given you everything you have through Christ. Thank you for joining me today. And if this message opened your eyes, I want you to share it with somebody that might need it, right? I am not a preacher, neither am I a mommy Jew. I am someone who likes to, clarify misconception. And because people have insulted me so much, I decided to make this video so that you could understand better about tithing and offering. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.